It's about Fable 2. Now, sequels are tricky things, aren't they, really? They're tricky because they're not my specialty, definitely not. I love playing around with new ideas and innovation, and that's why we set up Lionhead. And doing 2s and 3s and stuff is a tough thing, because most of people's approach, the very sensible approach, is to give you more things that you like better, I think, than someone's saying. I don't know. And so when we approached Fable 2, we started off really, and it's a design team now, and we started off thinking, right, we're going to be professional developers, and we're going to develop it in a professional way. And we got lots of demographical research, and we got thousands of people who played the game, and we looked at their responses, and we found out that women in Ethiopia like to use bows and arrows, and bald men preferred buying cloaks. It was quite useful, and it was also not very useful as well. So then we thought, right, we'll open the doors of hell, which is another name for the communities. When you open them, there's this huge shouting, "Ah!" shouting in your face and saying, "You did this wrong, and this was terrible, and why did you do that? And I hate you, and I'm going to kill you." And you slam them shut really quickly again. And we opened them and looked at all the stuff, and there were some people that were just mortally offended by some of our design choices in Fable 1. And rightfully so, some of them. You know, I stupidly, idiotically, like a kid at Christmas, showed off presents that I didn't actually have. I talked about features that weren't actually finished in the game. And I've learnt my lesson. I'm never going to do that again, unless you ask me the right question. And that we ended up with a list of better features in Fable 2. And they were, well, you're going to have more weapons, and they're going to be bigger and sharper and stronger, and we're going to have guns, and we're going to have more spells and magic and fantastic cutscenes, and we're going to have our world, and we're going to multiply its size by 10, no, 20 we'll multiply it, and we'll fill it with unbelievably beautiful things. We'll have, and this world, this is a feature I can reveal to you now. The world of Albion has 15 million, you can count them, poppies. You know, that's fantastic. That's what a sequel is, isn't it? It's more of those things. You know, get on the back of the boxes, 10 times bigger and 20% more weapons and 3 types of new bandits. But that's not why I set up Lionhead, not to make one of those games. I set up Lionhead to innovate and to push and to do things which, okay, people point at you and say, "You fool, why do you do that?" And that's why we exist. And that's why I hope that Microsoft acquired us. And that's what we stand for. And so I and the design team started talking about what Fable should have in addition to this big list of features. And it came down to 3 big features, 3 huge, big reasons for you to get excited about Fable 2. And they're important. A lot of people bought Fable 1 because they're expecting to see something new and different. We've got to give them something new and different in Fable 2. I'm going to talk about one of them. Whether this is more important or less important than the other 2 is for you to judge when you hear about the other 2. And what is this thing? Well, when I was thinking about Fable 2, I started to think about, you know, what were the great moments in gaming for me? You know, what was the fantastic moments in gaming? I hate looking at other games for features, by the way. I think it's a false economy. It's pointless doing it. But actually thinking, and one of the things that inspired me, someone did a website of the greatest gaming moments of all time. I was looking through that website, and Final Fantasy VII came up, and I remembered that fantastic. I don't know if you played Final Fantasy VII. You played it? You played it? Yeah, yeah, I mean, you must remember the end of that story. I mean, this was almost, I mean, I don't know, 12 years ago? 10 years ago? I don't know what it was. It was a long time ago, but that was a dramatic moment. For me, it was the end of Ico, when you had the girl on the beach. She ended up saving you. That's a fantastic moment. You know, I can still think about it now. And that's when it dawned on me, was Fable 2 had some interesting features, but it lacked something. And the thing that it lacked was an emotion which those games got out of me, which I didn't normally have. Yeah, you could kill people and you could adventure and you could be a hero, but where was that feeling inside me that Final Fantasy VII gave and that Ico gave? And that's a feature I'm going to show you now. I'm going to try and prove to you that Fable 2 is going to instill in you emotions that you've never felt before. And, you know, the obvious way to do that is, surely it's going to be a story, isn't it? A great story. That's what you're going to do, surely, Peter. A fantastic story which is big and sprawling and epic and has the most terrible bad guy of all time. That's going to get an emotion out of you, and that's not going to get an emotion out of you, is it? I mean, we all have big stories. This is what we do all the time. So I realised what it really was, the big thing I wanted you to experience was, and you're going to look at me and say, just like everyone did, that is just barkingly stupid. It is love. I'm going to get you to experience love. And I've got 3 mechanics to get you to experience it. And the reason I wanted to experience it, when you experience love, it's fantastic. And everyone thinks the last thing that you would see in a computer game is love. That's what, you know, famously, there's an American journalist that says, oh my God, you know, computer games is all about killing, and he's suing everybody all the time. So if I can get you to experience love, that would be a fantastic thing, wouldn't it? That's an ambition worth striving for one of those 3 big things. And the way I'm going to do that, and this is all about that drama, the way I'm going to do that is 3 things. One of them's a cheesy thing, really cheesy thing. One of them's a nice, cute thing, and one of them's a huge thing. So the cheesy one first. I can announce today that in Fable 2 you can choose at the start of the game either to play a man or a woman. Because it's not a proper role-playing game unless you can choose to be a man or a woman. You start the game as a kid. When you grow up, past the age of consent of course, you can then chat up. I will say girls for now, but it can be boys as well if you play a woman. We can even do same-sex stuff. You can chat up someone you fancy, and then you can chat them up some more, and then you can get married, and then you can choose to have protected or unprotected sex. And if you have unprotected sex, then you will have a baby, perhaps. And if you have a baby, that baby will start growing up. Incidentally, this does mean that if you choose to play a woman in Fable, you can get pregnant. And I think this is the first game ever where the hero actually goes into labour, which is, you know, quite novel. So you have a baby, and then when this is the cheesy moment, it works. Unless you're a completely heartless bastard, it does work. You're out adventuring, you come back home, and you have to go back home occasionally because you're responsible for your family, you have to give them money and all that, and we drive you back home occasionally. The door bursts open, this kid runs out and says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, I've heard you kill those scorpions on the cliff tops. You're brilliant!" It's cheesy, it works, man. You can't help feeling good about yourself. And we'll do a lot with that, and your family will, you know, changes to reflect what you're like. The kid, as he grows up, becomes more and more evil. If you're evil, he becomes more and more good if you're good. And it's fantastic, and you feel engaged. The second thing that we do is the world appreciates you as a hero, as you evolve as a hero. And what has really pissed me off